Welcome to Innovate's TV for our latest session, and today we're down on the Mid-Kent's water. This is part of the Mid-Kent Fisheries ticket, and this lake's called Loggies, stacked full of 20s, quite a few 30s, a lot of fish. There's going to be one problem for us and the lads though on this session. The BCAC was about 10 days ago, so the fish have seen a hell of a lot of bait, so we know it's going to be difficult. There's about 7 or 8 other anglers pitched up on the lake, so we've managed to get a couple of swims round on the far bank, so we're going to have a little go and see what we can catch. We're under no illusions it's going to be a tough session, so let's get our rods out, let's get set up, let's get the baits out, and let's see how we go.
Here we are at Loggies on our first session here with Innovate baits. I've only been in the water 10 minutes with the Jaffa and Orange, and here's the result. Lovely 20 pounds fully scoured. Hopefully we're going to have loads more, but it's all looking good. No bait chucked out, just a single. Here we are, have it.
Well, Dave decided to reel his rods in because he could see fizzing over the spot and couldn't understand why he hadn't had a run yet. And lo and behold, he'd been either roached or whatever, taken off the bait. Re-put out the baits, and what was it, 5 minutes? Yeah. 5 minutes again. And I say yet again, the bait really proving its worth. And this one is absolutely shredded line. Just tried to go around the island. Dave's absolutely beefing it. So, out there she is somewhere. She has stripped a fair chunk of line, slowly letting Dave have it back now. But what a phenomenal start. I say we still haven't sat down to do the introductions, and we've had 2 hookups. Steve's unfortunately dropped one. I've had some liners, Chris had liners. What a phenomenal start. Loggies really showing what it can do for the anglers when they're on the right bait on the right spots.
Here we go then. Lovely common caught on Apocalypse, well pleased with this one. Fishing's been really difficult, so it's a real bonus to catch a fish on a quality bait. Hopefully we can have a few more, maybe some bigger ones, we never know. It's real fishing, we take it as it comes. We win some, we lose some, but I'm really over the moon with this one, and hopefully I can get some more for you.
Right, so I've been lucky enough to be joined by Tony down the lake here, one of the lads from Innovate, and a prolific carp catcher. We call him Tony the Tough because it's what he goes by on all his lakes. But as I said, he is a prolific catcher of not just any old carp, but sort of, we say the word history fish, but you don't want to blag on about it, mate. You're not one of those people to bang on about it, are you? But some cracking fish in his repertoire. And what we're going to do is some of the edges that Tony uses, how he uses the bait, and how he uses some sort of non-bait related edges, because that's what you're about, mate. You're a thinking man's angler. So take it away, sort of your number 1 edge, mate. We're going to go on to it. I think you've got one in your pocket, the magic white leads.
No, hold on a sec. I've got one here. Yeah, it was something obviously it's not new, it's not unique to me, but when I'm looking at things to do, there has to be a logical reason to do it. So for example, my available time for fishing became less and less, and I was sort of struggling fishing very short sessions, and I went through a phase fishing one particular water at Fox Pool. Right. And you'd visually be watching the fish feed and how they would react with your rigs, and like everyone, you know, you haven't built that repertoire of history of, you know, using this rig or that rig that you sort of copy from the magazines and what have you. And I was watching fish feed on my usual sort of setup. I was using a dung lead with bits of bark poking out of it and everything else.
Camoed up.
Everything camoed up, flecking up the line and everything. And I watched one particular fish, a fish called Shoulders, that was about 35 pound, and I was fishing literally sort of 2 foot from the bank, and she came in, and there was no way she'd seen a hook. She'd seen this dark black object just sitting there, and she bolted, and I thought, right, okay, I've got to think about this. And then, you know, I just thought, I like to be different. I was always the experimental one, fishing with acorns or crushing up water snails, purely because I've presented my rig out there with the bait I was using at that time, and I've got fish feeding and fizzing, and it's, you know, you're sitting on your hands.
Nothing's actually happening.
Why not? So then you start using these sort of crazy ideas. So I thought, I'm going to give bright white leads a go, and the reason behind it was A, so that when I was fishing in the margin I could identify my hook bait, because of where the white lead was,
proximity to your lead,
and also I thought, well, loads of people catch using white pop-ups, so I thought, you know, my style of fishing is actually quite negative. I don't bait heavy, I fish for a bite at a time, and a lot of the fish I pursue are habitual. You know, we're only human, we have habits, there are ways and means that we do things, and I believe that these older carp are exactly the same. If you figure out their pattern, they're very easy
it's
to
thinking like a fish.
Exactly, you know, and so I started using these white leads, and then I was fishing another water, a lake called Wagner's Wells, where, you know, you were visually watching fish feed, and they were homing in on my white lead, and obviously the presentation of bait. So I thought, oh well, I'll carry on doing it. And then before I knew it, I had this reputation where people were saying, oh, I met this fella, he was using white leads, and someone would go, oh, that's Tony, you know, blah de blah.
Mr. White Lead.
Yeah, so, you know, in the end, it was less of what it was doing for me as a point of, you know, all of you out there who are looking at buying 3 different coloured hook links, you know, all of the same material, and, you know, you're scooping up gravel or sediment from the margin to match it up, but you're fishing 60 yards out and you're assuming it's going to be the same. I just thought, you know, that's not my way. So everything I do, I sort of call it the butterfly effect. It's tiny little pieces that come together, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're finding a rhythm and a routine, and then you become habitual like the fish you're pursuing.
Yeah, and it's certainly worked for you, mate, isn't it? As I said, been on Yatey Split this season.
Yeah,
how's it going?
It's going very well. My first session on there, I just went for a walk around, just took the camera with me, and I fell in love with the place. It's an amazing place, and the thing I liked about it, for the last couple of years, and it's actually coincided since I've been with Innovate, that I've pursued these particular target fish, and you know, that's my style of fishing. I'm always thinking, and I get bored unless I have a particular target.
And not so much a named fish, so much as a, you know, they're old. You're going for old fish. You're going for traditional fish, and we're not here to harp on about old and traditional. It's not our style at all. Any fish is a fantastic fish to catch, but that's your sort of stamp, what you're after, mate. You know, you've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, for me, a target isn't necessarily a 40 pounder or a 50 pounder. It's something that means something to me. So, for example, the big Wagner's fish, I carried that photo around for 18 months, and it was the first time I'd ever looked at a fish and thought, I have to catch that. So, you know, you build up these elements of your fishing, and I turned up and I saw her, I watched her. I'd looked at this photo often enough to know what it was, and I flicked it out, and I was lucky enough 40 minutes later I'd caught it after waiting 18 months. So, you know, if you tell people it took you 40 minutes, they'd go, oh, that was just luck. So it was like, right, where's the next target? okay, I'm going to go to Buzzbridge and I want to target big frame. It was the middle of January and it took me 3 fish to catch her. Oh, it's luck again. You know?
Yeah, luck starts to diminish,
Yeah.
and it comes down to elements, isn't it? What you put together.
Yeah, I think it's a load of different elements, and I don't have fancy fandango rigs. I literally fish with 2 rigs, and I'll show you. Right? I don't show these
No.
to anyone. Okay, so if you hold your hand out, obviously my beloved bait, the one I take everywhere and it doesn't change, are my cream crunch.
Yeah, that's it.
To me, if you can turn up on a lake that, you know, you're fishing for a 60-year-old fish, they have seen everything, they've eaten anything possible, and 40 minutes later you've got her on the bank.
Yeah.
To me, that's a special bait. And obviously in conjunction with the cream crunch, because I was visually watching how the fish were feeding, I wanted to fish something very critically balanced, because there's about 20 fish in there. They were coming in really hard, everything was wafting up, and I thought I want something like a hair raiser.
Yeah.
So it's a cream crunch hair raiser on a braided hook length, very, very short, but it's a wide gape hook, just purely because of the effectiveness of grabbing hold of something. And I also double up the braid so that when it's wet, it obviously carries a bit more water.
It's double the
chance of
density of it.
Yeah. And obviously with an anti-tangle boom on it, and that caught me so many fish. And for me, I learn quite often by mistake. You know, something will happen and I don't keep doing it. It's like, you won't see me using a choddy. I'm not because I decry anyone for using it. To me, I've had failure with it.
Yeah.
You know, I've used it half a dozen times, and out of the 6 takes I had, I lost 5. And you know, the age-old thing of, oh, you're not fishing it properly. I don't care.
Yeah.
My time's valuable to me. I don't want a chance that I'm going to lose what I hook.
Yeah.
So the next rig that I use is, strangely enough, I used to make up combi rigs.
Yeah.
I used to sort of think, wow, that's amazing because I can tie an Albright knot and, you know, I can get that link really short. But in the end, I just found this Vardis sort of semi-stiff, coated, I think it's called Downfall, and one of their downturn hooks. I used to use long shanks a lot, and I just thought, that they're not the sharpest hooks. I don't like spending hours filing and filing. I want to know I can take it out of the packet and I'm ready to rock and roll. I don't want to spend, you know, I fish for 4 hours a week, you know,
literally the shortest sessions here.
Yeah, literally 4 hours a week. So that is my standard presentation there, with a snowman pattern, which is what I've been fishing on the split with. I've done sort of 4 or 5 nights on there now. I've had 11 takes. Obviously I'm fishing a very snaggy swim, so you're going to run that risk of losing a couple. But I've had one of the big commons out there at 32.12, and the biggest known mirror in there at 34.8.
It's and like we go on about these bits and pieces we're doing, how you're doing it, and it's so much elemental bits and pieces.
It's
piecing, exactly.
It's like, I'm not frightened about fishing a swim that there's only enough room for 1 rod.
Yeah.
That, you know, because a lake allows 3 rods, I don't, unless I can find 3 definitive spots, I don't necessarily think I need 3 rods. I was over at Abbey Lakes last week for 3 days, fishing 2 rods exactly as I do in England. You know, that's a small hook for French fish, and I lost count, but I was up towards sort of 30 carp in 3 days. Okay, you don't go so fast to catch 18 pounders, but for me it was that consistency that this works
that's
for
it.
me.
That's it. It all works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So as I said, a fantastic insight to an angler that's not you know, doesn't big himself up, likes to stay, you are an under radar angler. As I said, they've had a lot of named fish, a lot of known fish, and numbers of fish. You don't want a massive pat on the back and everything. That's not what we're here to do. We're not here to blow up people's egos, but it's just nice for people to see through the Innovate TV different things, different anglers, and how we're doing it. So we're going to get the rods back out. I'm going to get back onto my swim, and we'll catch up later. Tone, always a pleasure. Cheers, mate. Well, after what can only be described as a hard night, and so Chris, with action you saw earlier, Dave with familiar action, and Chris is back in again, same rod off the point of the island. So what we'll do is we'll just film this hopefully being played, because I said I've been running back and forth between pegs. So let's see what happens.
Another Loggies common to Apocalypse bottom bait, this time with a little pinky topper. Well pleased to get this one. Beautiful condition. Bites have gone a little bit finicky, but we've changed about rigs and messed about with a few things. And yeah, pleased to get this one on the bank. Apocalypse doing the business for us. Try and get her back and see if we can get another one. Only probably been out there about 5 minutes on the Apocalypse and a little bit of crumbed up stick. Beautiful fish in this Loggies lake in mid-Kent, so let's get them out again and see if we can bag another one quickly.
Well, I've just had this take. I was actually on the throwing stick at the time, putting some bait out, and the left-hand rod went. This is actually on a pop-up. All the other fish today have been on Apocalypse, so it appears the fish are starting to come on the feed big time. So we just got our fingers crossed that we can get enough bait out there and keep them going and really put some fish on the bank. I think this will be the 6th or 7th one us and the guys have had so far. Fingers crossed we get this one in the net. And she's in. Lovely common. There she is. A lovely Loggies common. It appears the fish have really started to get on the munch now. I think this is about the 4th fish in the last hour that we've had. So we're going to get our, well, I'm going to get my rod back out there ASAP, and hopefully we'll bank another one very shortly. But the signs are looking really good on this fantastic mid-Kent's water, and things are really starting to come together now. So we'll get her back and we'll catch up with you a bit later. Well, I'm here with Dave Proctor, Innovate Baits consultant, who's a regular on the mid-Kent Fisheries ticket waters, including Loggies. And Dave, we've had a few fish. We've had a pretty good start considering, but it didn't look too clever when we turned up, did it? We thought it was going to be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, that's right, Steve.
as you know, I phoned you about 3 or 4 days ago before we was going to come down to say that they've just spawned. They've had a British carp competition on here, which they gave it a good clumping. They caught a lot of fish, you know, some good anglers in it, and I thought we was really going to struggle, you know, and I didn't want to look silly bringing us down here to fish and not catching any fish.
Purely down to the amount of bait that was being put in, and obviously the fish had just spawned as well. So
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows when people do these British carp competitions how much bait they bring with them and how much they pile in.
Yeah. But we've done pretty well, haven't we? Really. And we've caught quite a few fish, and it surprised me for sure.
Yeah,
but,
me
I mean,
too.
we've still got some time to go, but you know quite a bit about this lake, Loggies. It's probably your preferred winter water, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Just tell us a bit about that and how you go about it when you fish in the winter on this water.
Yeah, well, normally with me in the winter, I get down here, I put effort in. I come down before light, I have a little stroll, look for a few signs, coots making a noise, bubbles, a few heads poking out, a little bit of disturbance on the surface. Some of the time I can't get the swims I want to get on because people are in them and the fish are there, and I have to get as close as possible and rely on the bait, drawing the fish over to get the takes. And last winter I was on here, there was a lot of anglers struggling, and I was very successful. I had 60 plus carp, up to 31. A lot of repeat catches because I've been on here a few years now, purely only in the winter because it's a great winter water. And I've had all the big fish now apart from petals. I've had the big common at 35, I've had the big lever, which is a real exclusive fish that doesn't come out very often, and I've had it twice, both on the same bait. So that's just testimony to how good a food source it is for a really tricky carp to catch.
Yeah, I mean, I can always remember you ringing me when I was at a carp show. I think this was a bait I sent down for you to test, wasn't it? The Reaper. Just tell us a little bit about that session, because that was just a phenomenal hit, wasn't it? On a new bait that's never been in the water before.
Yeah, I've never, ever in my life, I've 35 years of carp fishing, I've caught thousands of carp, but I've never had a session like that or heard of anyone else having a session like that on Mid-Kent. I came down here, it was about middle of September, a new bait to try out, which really excites me. No proven track record, so turned up, it was high pressure, we had clear skies, bright moons, heavy frosts. So I started introducing a bit of bait. Within about half hour I've got a 25 plus mirror on the bank, and through the rest of the day and the night I ended up with, I think it was 28 fish on the bank landed, which 18 of those were over 26 pound, including the big common and the big lever. But that's without fish I lost.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it's ridiculous. I'm still pinching myself now.
I think I dropped to the floor when you made that phone call. I mean, I couldn't believe it, because that was the first time basically that bait had ever been into any water anywhere, and to get those sort of numbers of those sort of sizes of fish was unheard of on Mid-Kent fishery ticket water. So that was exceptional. But this is not the only water. I mean, it's fair to say you don't target this water very much at the moment, do you? Apart from winter.
Winter time, because
you're on another water which is on the Mid-Kent's ticket, aren't you? Just tell us a little bit about that lid, because you had another exceptional hit there just a couple of weeks back, didn't you? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I've been on the lid now for 3 years. The first season I went down there, it was new water to me. Everyone was telling me how hard this water is due to the fact of the naturals in there. There's tons of shrimp, tons of bloodworm. They don't need bait. So I started down there, started on the fix, which I haven't really used much on Mid-Kent, just purely to see how good it was. On the first session I blanked, which is understandable on the new water. Second session in, 35.7 common. Everybody started coming around to see what I was using, saying, oh, you know, you don't catch these fish in here. And went on the next week after that, I had a brace, I had a 37 mirror and a 34 common, which was like I was ecstatic with, because everyone's telling me how hard it is,
Yeah.
and it's just tearing it up. Went a few more weeks, cut the small fish like 25s, 28s. Then we got into June, and I moved round to one of the really popular swims. Ended up taking the biggest fish in the lake, the Nemo they call it, at 43 pounds, and it was a terrific fish.
Yeah, I mean, this was last year, but I mean, I think you had an 80-pound brace, didn't you, just a couple of weeks back from the same water, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. That was one of the two of the A team I've caught out there. Steve convinced me to go back on the fix to see whether they still liked it. So I've gone back down there, and I've rocked up at about midnight, like I do, silly o'clock in the morning. Chucked 2 out, put the third one out, thought I'd get some kip, get up first light, have a look, see what I can see. 10 minutes, one screamed off, I've got the strawberry in the net, 39.8. Happy days, you know, put it in the sling, put the rod straight back out, didn't even change the bottom bait, it was still hard, it'd been in less than 10 minutes. Back out there, I'm playing around with the strawberry in the margin, making sure she's sitting up in the sling okay, and it's roared off again. Turned out I had about a 15-minute hard battle in the margins, looked in the net, see what I've got the pretty one again, 41 plus.
Yeah, it's a pretty good session there. I mean, it's just testament to your angling ability, Dave, and obviously we like to think the bait as well, which has gone really well on that water. I think you're going to be targeting another water on the Mid-Kents tickets soon. I think you said the Stour, which is quite close to here, isn't it? Which is just across, I think it's about 300 yards away,
That's
isn't
correct,
it?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's got some stunning fish in it as well, isn't it? Just tell us a little bit about those fish and how you're going to target those.
Yeah, well, I'll start limiting the bait, looking, because it's got a heavy amount of bird life, which cause havoc with the baiting situation. I'm going to rely on food, good quality food bait, to catch them quick. I'm predominantly going to be on there in the winter, because you've got more hours of darkness, so I've got more chance of keeping the bait in the water to try and pick some of these stunning fully scales up and heavily scaled mirrors.
Yeah, it's just done a couple of 40s.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
why I'm
sound.
going on there, because you know I'm all about trying to catch the best fish in the lake.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks, Dave. That's brilliant. A nice little insight into some of the waters Dave's fishing on the Mid-Kents fishery ticket, and we're going to carry on with our fishing and hopefully bag a few more stunners, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
There we are, when I was feeling like the lone child of the group, everyone catching fish, kept the chin up, recast to some different spots, hinge stiff rig, white Jaffa pop up, because as I said, Dave's been saying the white's been doing the damage on for the fish for a long time. And it went off like an absolute tarpon. I knew it wasn't going to be a big one, but what an absolute beauty. These are the stamp of fish that you're going to get in Loggies down here. They're pretty and they are angry. By God, did it kick off the mark and strip me, absolutely kick the arse out of me. But yet again, the opposite bank remains quiet, and all you can hear over here is alarms. Scared of down, there we are, that was perfectly timed. We'll get back to the rest of the action. See you in Innovate. Yeah, well, we were all sat round down a nice little social saying, can't believe we haven't had a bite yet, there's fish showing absolutely everywhere. And Dave's rod's ripped off, and we think Tony's rod's actually ripped off as well. So I'm going to stick here with Dave for 2 minutes and see if Tony is in. So we could be cutting back and forth with some action here. So fantastic. Wow. And here's the second part of the action, literally unbelievable. Sat all around, as I said. And one rod very quickly, followed by the second rod. As I said, Tony's actually moved because fish went in front of him, and he won't sit down unless there's fish in front of him. Obviously the wisest thing to do. So yeah, fantastic bit of footage.
Well, there you go. I'd been struggling in No Carp Bay last night, decided to make a move. I've been in the swim for about 2 hours, caught on my usual Cream Crunch S2T Pinky snowman rig that I've used so well at Yateley Split, and this is what you can have.
While Tony was busy all in that lovely common, I made a quick tactical change to Innovate steamy pop-up, and due to the fact that the roach were absolutely slaughtering the bottom baits, so this is a result of a quick rig change.
Obviously fish care is really important. The fish have just spawned, so treat them with a bit of respect. Let them go slowly, give them the chance to recover. You know, she's given a good account of herself. Just hold her, there's no rush. Mind the sling out the way. Wait for her to kick, and off she goes. Happy fish, happy angler. There you go.
Alright, we've come to the end of our session here on Loggies, and what a fantastic session it's been. We thought it was going to be very difficult when we first turned up. The fish had only just finished spawning, the BCAC, there was a lot of other angling pressure on here. As I said earlier when we first came, we managed to get round the far bank on a couple of swims, but we've ended up with 20 carp, so fantastic. Everyone's caught, some real stunners, a lot of 20s up to upper 20s. The baits worked wonders. It appears to me that a lot of other anglers have been struggling on the lake, but the Innovate guys managed to pull it off. I just want to say a big thank you to Chris, Frank and Keith for making us very welcome down here on the Mid-Kent Fisheries. Just one of many waters, this is Loggies, that is available on their ticket. A lot of stunning waters, nearly 26 to 30 lakes that are available to anglers from all over the country. Not only carp fishing, all sorts of coarse fishing, fishing for a lifetime basically on this ticket, and hopefully we'll be invited back again, but for now, until we get out on the bank again, take care, and we'll catch up with you later.